I want to welcome you to our SHAC meeting. For those on the Zoom, I'm Nancy Jennings. I'm the nurse here at Maud. I don't know if you can see me. But we've got a couple of things that we need to go over. We have a few that might be trying to come in late. There was a field trip this morning, so they're trying to come in. Hold on, I've got people messaging me about the meeting. Okay. So to get us going, the first thing that I forgot to add to the minutes is to look at add to the agenda is to look at our minutes from the last meeting. So if y'all can look on the back of your agenda, that's the minutes from our last meeting. And when y'all are ready, I just need a first and a second to accept those.
Susie, your video is on.
All in agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so for nurse updates, Kara is just getting back from the field trip, but she wanted me to let y'all know that it's been crazy busy for us. We're still trying to get vision and hearing completed. The beginning of the year with the Senate Bill 12 stuff coming in slowed us down a lot. So we are struggling trying to get vision and hearing done, but we're trying to finish that this week. Spinal screening will be next week. That is for our 5th and 7th grade girls, 8th grade boys. As far as what Kara has seen in her office, some strep, COVID, and the stomach bug, but it is getting a little bit better. And we've been relatively healthy on my campus. I haven't seen just a whole lot, mainly just headaches. But I did want to let y'all know that we did talk about at the last meeting about food bank stuff. And I found a website that I passed on to our staff members, the Harvest Regional Food Bank, and it lists all of the food banks in Bowie County. And also last summer, they had a summer feeding program. So I anticipate when it gets closer to next summer that they'll have more information on that. So that's something that we can do for our communities, because I know that we were concerned about that for our summer feeding program for our kids. So I did find that information, and so we'll be able to have that to pass on. Let's see. Okay, Ms. Hudgens, do you have anything for, from high school? As she takes a bite. I did that.
We did have our drug-free rally. It was very successful. Y'all want to add something about that? Just
a lot of the kids actually enjoy that, and I think we get the most people to come to that, and they actually really enjoy it.
yeah, there were lines at every table this year, just waiting to participate, and so it was really well. Y'all did well.
They should let me get in the crash simulator. That's my only complaint.
He wanted in the rollover truck, but no go. We do have our second blood drive coming up on December the 17th. So we'll be shooting that information out on our Facebook webpage. So on Facebook. So if any of y'all want to sign up for that, just let me know. And we're just rolling.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hudgens. Ms. Boone?
Kind of the same thing. Middle school, of course, did the drug-free rally as well. This month we're just focusing on gratitude and being with the kids. And we did, reach out to the staff, which the principals did, and just to be mindful of the students' needs based on the recent shutdown, and sometimes when financial burdens are hard at home, a lot of times kids see that too and feel that. So we just want to be mindful of that. So that was really something we talked about in our campus.
Okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention, another thing that we talked about at the last meeting was getting some help for clothes for our middle and high school kids. And Madison and Ginger got us those undergarments, and they're not going through them, but they've been used since we've gotten them. So that was a big help, ladies. So thank y'all.
We have more coming too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a help. They've used it.
Good.
Okay, and the next thing we have is Chief Rochelle.
Hello, my name is Joe Rochelle. I'm the police officer here on campus. I was asked to do a little update on what we call the standard response protocol, SRP for short, what we use in case of emergencies or if there's an incident on campus or around campus. 2 weeks ago, it's founded out of iloveyouguys.org. If y'all look it up, the U is just the letter U. Anyway, it came out of Platte Canyon High School situation in 2006 where there was an incident on campus. Unfortunately, there were some lives lost. A student texted her parents, and the last time she texted them was, "I love you guys." And out of that, 3 years later, the parents came up with the organization because there was a bunch of chaos. There was no organization to the response by faculty, staff, or law enforcement. So they came up with these set of protocols that we use now, been using since I've been here. And I know that all the schools in Bowie County use this set of protocols, as well as obviously I think like over 50,000 organizations, school districts, campuses, and businesses also use this because it's not just geared or oriented towards schools. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, they put out a video to help incorporate middle school and high school students to know what to expect and how they should be expected to react if we go into one of these protocol situations, either from hold, secure, lock down, evacuate, or shelter in place. Did y'all get to see the video?
Mm-hmm. We played it in third period in volleyball class.
That's right. Well, I know Coach Bush showed it, and I talked to him, but it was sent out to all the high school and middle school teachers. And one of the things that updated was the lockdown was they added prepare to evade or defend, because I'm not going to go out there without a fight, and I don't want nobody else to go out without a fight either. But, any questions?
Is that kind of like bringing the Alice into the standard response protocol?
Alice.
Isn't that what it was?
Alice was the one with you defend.
Oh, yes. We avoid the night defend. Yes, I guess Alice was right before my time. They changed it to avoid the night defend, and they, like I said, it's just not geared. If you go to the website, they have it set up. They got training or videos or protocols for obviously pre-K through 12. Also higher education facilities, businesses, and municipalities. So this allows other organizations to implement this, and it's nationwide. So you go to one part of the country or to another part, if they have implemented this, you already know how to react and respond and know what's going on. And I encourage parents to go to the reunification exercise portion and know what to expect. If we ever have to go into a reunification, is wait for the school to notify where the reunification is and what's going to happen before we do anything else. Any questions or comments?
What is Alice? Or do I need to know about that, or is that just a?
It was one of the earlier generations of how do we handle active shooter situations or threat scenarios, and so, and it was one of the factors in that one was the defend if need be, and so we learned in Columbine when students laid down, they just got shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you can't get away from the threat, you got a lot better chance of surviving if you're fighting for your life than just sitting there. Because I mean, there's actual footage of the students in Columbine just laying down and tucking their head and being shot.
Well,
And so,
And the Uvalde.
yeah, I was supposed to say Uvalde, where he went into the open classroom and the teacher told him just act like they were asleep and it didn't go well. Anyway, Alice, like I said, was before my time. When I was working the street, we obviously had alert, law enforcement response to active threat. Now that we do that, there's also CRACE, it's called CRACE, C-R-A-S-E, Civilian Response to Active Shooter or Threat. They got so many out there, but that's the ones that we use here on campus is CRACE. Law enforcement uses alert, and they're starting to integrate that now with school districts and campuses. In January 5th, there's going to be a full-blown in Redwater, ISD. Just so y'all know, this will be put out on social media by DPS and also by the school at Redwater. They're going to have a full-blown active threat training scenario along with area law enforcement officers responding along with LifeNet and just all call. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm sure there's gonna be some parents that didn't get the first message that get the second and panic.
And well, they're going to be a teacher prep day like we are.
they won't be.
Oh, there's no
school won't be
kids,
in session.
okay, I got you.
So that's one good thing about that, but at least be prepared. They're supposed to put it out that way. Somebody doesn't drive by the school, think there's actually something going on.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chief Rochelle.
Well,
Sad we didn't even have to talk about that.
Very, very. Okay, well now we are ready for our presentation for, from YES, the Youth Equipped to Succeed. And we are ready for y'all to kind of take over.
Great. Is there any way I can share? I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to make sure that y'all can see it, and then Sarah's going to go ahead and go if that's all right with y'all.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
All right. Are y'all seeing the screen?
Yes.
Or do you see the upcoming slide, or you just see the full screen?
Just the program preview, the main slide, that's all we see.
All right. I'm going to let Sarah take it away then. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank the SHAC committee for allowing you to succeed for this opportunity to present an overview of our programs. We appreciate your careful consideration as you make decisions for your community. YES provides many unique programs that satisfy the health student expectations from the Texas House Bill 1525. Our mission statement is growing value and vision in youth by combating isolation and imparting hope. We believe that a connected student is a protected student. For over 25 years, we have presented programs throughout Texas and nationwide to about 5.8 million students, parents, and staff members. All of our programs are updated annually and are aligned with the new health TEKS. Our programs are reviewed for research-based content and cultural relevance by our Program Development Review and Evaluation Advisory Board and our Youth Advisory Board. These committees include medical professionals, counselors, school administrators, and students. Our human sexuality programs follow an SRA, sexual risk avoidance model for optimum health, to help your parents inform, to help you keep your parents informed of the content of our programs. One of our highly trained on-staff speakers will present a parent preview program before it's presented to the students, and then the speaker will present a program throughout the school day to smaller student sessions. Smaller student sessions help facilitate educational message, limit distractions, and encourage learning interaction. I would like to introduce to our speaker, Ramsey Pruitt. Ramsey is going to walk you through a high-level overview of the program's next step, Aim for Success, Determined to Succeed, and Freedom to Succeed. At the end of our presentation, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Good morning, afternoon, I guess it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for having us and allowing us this time to share this preview. So I've got 4 programs that I'm going to preview for you. These programs are individually about 45 to 60 minutes long, so I'm condensing them and shortening them in the best ways that we can fit all of that in the space of your time. there are different things within these programs that will change depending on, and vary depending on the age group. But I'm going to try to present it to you in the best way that I can in a short amount of time. So this Aim for Success, like I said, is for 6 through 12 years. And the way that we start out, the majority, if not all of our programs, is talking about their dreams and goals. And so our programs are very interactive and engaging, and we need to make sure that they are, hearing all this education and this information, but really receiving it and, doing it in lessons and in different ways that they can keep moving, So we talk about dreams and goals, and we talk about how we want to, whether it's going to college or starting their own business or getting married and having a family. But we can all be distracted from these goals, and so one of the distractions, we talk a little bit with the kids about what the distractions could be, and one of those distractions that could be a big distraction for teenagers is the distraction of sex. And that's how I introduce the topic of sex in a lot of our programs, and just say like, hey, we've got dreams and goals. There's this thing, there's this thing, sex that a lot of times is distracting, whether it's talking about it or decisions about it. And so I want the kids and the parents and educators to be resourced in a way that they feel like they can make healthy decisions for their future. So the first thing that we do, or one of the first things that we do, is we give a definition of sex. Now the definition that we give is according to the Texas state definition. This is a lot of different, it's not just like a biology textbook definition. This just is a good way to kind of show all the different things I'll be talking about during the program. So the definition is, according to the state of Texas, sexual contact is any touching of sexual areas with the intent to arouse or ratify the sexual desire of any person. Now we go into some of we say that there are benefits to sex, like it's how we all got here, right? It's how we came to have life. However, there are also a lot of risks. So let's talk about some of those risks. So one of the risks is a teen pregnancy. But a teen pregnancy isn't, or a pregnancy in and of itself not always a bad thing. However, it is something that can hinder your goal, right? It can be really challenging to reach your goal. Someone can still reach them, but it can take a lot longer to get there. And so that's one risk. Now we do talk to the 7th to 12th graders about ways to help prevent pregnancies. So we say, someone can say condoms, but they're actually only about 87% effective. So that means that 1 out of 8 girls will still get pregnant if they're condom use. Someone can use birth control pills. The birth control pills are going to be about 90% effective. Now that seems like a high number, but that still means that 1 out of 14 girls get pregnant when the pill is taken correctly. Now all of our programs have this next section right here, and that is we told them, yes, there are ways to help reduce pregnancy. There are the risk of pregnancy. There are things they can do to help prevent the risk of pregnancy. But the only thing that's going to have a 100% effective rate, only thing that's going to be 100% effective in preventing a pregnancy is to wait to have sex. And we talk about what that could mean, what that could look like, waiting until marriage. We pull a lot of our, the CDC says that sex is safe is in a long-term, mutually monogamous relationship. So in other words, a marriage or a long-term committed relationship in the future, or if someone hasn't already had sex, they can still decide to wait from a certain point on. So we do present that the optimal choice is to wait. But it's not just because of pregnancy, but also there are other things as well, like sexually transmitted diseases. And our Aim for Success program is the one that we kind of go into the most detail about sexually transmitted diseases. We initially tell them that about 13 million new STD cases among 15 to 24-year-olds in America. This is a big deal, and we go into detail about a few different STDs. We mention HIV and AIDS just because that's one that a lot of people know about, but we really go into detail about chlamydia, genital herpes, and genital HPV because those are the 3 of them men amongst teenagers. We also talk about how they can all be asymptomatic, and different things that can happen as a result of these STDs. Now, it's not just pregnancy and STDs that's a risk when it comes to sex, but also emotional hurts. tell them that they have ever experienced anything like this, that is not their fault. And that they can talk to a trusted adult. We go into a lot of detail, but I'll go into that at some of the other programs, because the section where we talk about abuse is pretty much it's kind of uniform in all of our sexual health programs. Another thing that we talk about in Aim for Success, and actually the majority of our programs, we mentioned sexting. We talked about how it's not a good idea to get involved in sexting, but one of the biggest reasons why is that it's against the law. According to the juvenile sexting laws in the state of Texas, it is illegal for anyone under the age of 18 to send or possess nude or partially nude images of anyone under the age of 18. And finally, the last thing that we talk about in this program are boundaries. How far is too far, and how they have to decide themselves where they want to put their stop sign. Because what does a stop sign do? It helps, it protects us from danger. So they have to decide where their stop sign is, so that they can have the freedom to reach their dreams and their goals. Like I said, this program is about a 60-minute long program, but that's all I'm going to share with you. For Aim for Success, I'm going to go to determine succeed. Now, all of these they're not necessarily, they don't have to be in order, in a specific order, but they do build upon each other, these programs. And so determine succeed does build upon Aim for Success, so that I just presented to you. We talked about dreams and goals, like we did in Aim for Success. And we say, it's easier to achieve success by setting goals. And we give a little review if they have had Aim for Success before, and if they haven't, then we'll give them some quick education on some of the things we've talked about. So we'll talk about STDs, so some of the main things that we talked about in Aim for Success, but just a little bit more condensed for this program, because that's actually not the majority of the term Succeed is. We talk about the same STDs, we talk about how to prevent them, and ultimately we talk about waiting and how that's the optimal health choice for them, and can prevent it. Not going to be 100% effective in the same way that we do. But the majority of determined to succeed is actually not talking about STDs and pregnancy. We're actually talking about pressures in determined to succeed. We say your passion to succeed must exceed the pressure of life, because we recognize that the decision to wait to have sex, whether you're whether you're waiting until you're an adult or waiting until you're married, that can be really difficult to make, because there's going to be a lot of pressures that you might face. And so we focus on 5 different pressures that they might face to be sexually active or have sex, and we talk about how they can overcome these pressures. So the first thing we talk about is, so we have hormones, love, peer pressure, media, and drinking. First thing we talk about is hormones, and we talk about how, in puberty and teen years, how your hormones are, especially with your reproductive system, like those hormones are more active during the teen and puberty years, and how a male can get a girl pregnant every single day of the month. A female can get pregnant 1 to 7 days each month. However, because of those hormones, it can be really difficult to know when that 1 to 7 day time frame is. And so there's a lot of things that can be really unsure when it comes to, people can be really unsure when it comes to pregnancies and preventing pregnancy with teenagers. But how do you overcome that? Well, you can set boundaries. You can set boundaries around it. You can make healthy choices around what you're touching, what you're looking at, what you're listening to. Through your 5 senses. And so these are just some ways that we can, create habits so that we are not tempted to go further than we should. Another pressure is love. What if you fall in love? You want to be close to that person, and you want to, maybe feel pressured to have sex. How do you overcome that? Well, we talk a little bit about in this section about the emotional hurts that we discussed in Aim for Success, and how I have a visual lesson of 2 hearts. Like I have construction paper hearts that I glue together, and I say, okay, these are glued together, they're bonded. But what happens if they break up? The kid might say, oh, they'll rip. Well, maybe they'll rip, but more so than the 2 pieces of paper ripping and their heart breaking, they'll have little pieces of each other's heart on the other's heart. And so, having that visual.
Do what? You're froze up. I don't know if you can hear us.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Okay.
Oh, okay. Did you not hear me the whole time?
We heard, the last thing we heard was about the paper hearts and tearing them up. Then you froze.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine. That's all I need. It's not just about, your heart's breaking, but about leaving pieces of each other's heart on the other person, and how, yes, you can heal from that 100%, but sex makes everything more complicated. And it's gonna make that, getting over that person, even more difficult, and that emotional hurt can be even heavier. I said we take this opportunity to talk about healthy versus unhealthy relationships, and we go through different scenarios of a healthy dating relationship versus an unhealthy relationship, and we look at what that can look like and why that's different. And we go from here and talking about teen dating violence. Now, teen dating violence is something that we talk about in all of our sexual health as well. This is harming, intimidating, and controlling another person in a dating relationship. And we talk about some red flags, what this would look like in a relationship. And we'll go through each one of these a little bit in detail and tell them that if they found in a relationship like this, to try to encourage them to break up with that person, or at least talk to an adult in their life to help them navigate how to go through this. And then we also talk about sex trafficking in every single one of our sexual health programs. We explain what it is, how it's forced, someone who's forced into sexual labor or services against their will. They can be forced into prostitution, sexual abuse, or pornography. And once again, we just kind of give them the resources of, talk to people and maybe some talk to someone, even if they feel like it's not difficult or they don't need to. We also talk about in our sexual health programs, we talk about NOTE. So this is an acronym that we created to give some more practical ways of how to set boundaries. Remembering that they always have the right to say no. We can always come up with different options and things to do with the person that they're with. So instead of spending all their time alone with one person, with the person they're dating, or the person maybe they have different things to do. Planning ahead, creating those boundaries, having the conversations with that person ahead of the time, and then eliminating distractions, eliminating anything that might lead them to go further than they want to in the first place. Which brings me to the next pressure, which is media. And I just encourage them that they can master the media. They can think for themselves, be watching for sex, how sex is used to sell, watch how TV shows, movies, ads use sex to try to influence them about certain things. And so we look at different ads, commercials, and see what is this perfume ad trying to communicate? Because why are they dressed like that? Why do they look like that? Why does that guy have his shirt off? These are kind of the things that are subtle that we just kind of very easily we can just scroll past and not realize that it actually is influencing us in a way to think a certain way about sex. And then we also encourage them to avoid pornography. And we do kind of a short but a deep dive a little bit into how pornography addiction can happen and why it's something that we should avoid. And then we also talk about our last pressure is drinking and drugs. And you just say, you can create all the right boundaries and decide you want to wait until a certain time to have sex, and then one day you go out and you drink too much, or you get high, and then all of a sudden those boundaries that seem so strong all of a sudden feel a little bit they're not as stark as they used to be, because your inhibitions are lowered. And now this is something that obviously we say that you shouldn't be drinking and doing drugs anyway because it's illegal. So that's the number one reason. But other than that, it can lead you into some sexual things that maybe you didn't want to get involved in the first place. Okay, so we really, like I said, focus on pressures and how to overcome those sexual pressures in Determined to Succeed. But then we also have another program called Freedom to Succeed. I know it gets confusing with success and succeed, and it gets a lot. But our goal is for them to think about their future and to think about how they can succeed. That's why we have that in all of our program names. But this program is one of my favorite ones because it is a sexual health program, but it's a little bit different than they might think because this is actually primarily about the law and what the law says about sex and teenagers. This one, as well as Determined to Succeed, is available for 6th through 12th graders, and some of the content varies depending on the age. But we talk about the law, and the reason why we were talking about this is that I want the kids to feel empowered, that they know their rights, that they know what's okay, what's not okay, when to report something, when not to, and to really give them the confidence that they know their rights, and they know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And so the first thing that we do is we also talk about the definition of sex. And we say that these laws that we're going to be talking about, they are put in place to protect you. Their goal is to protect you. And so we go through a deep dive of a few different laws. So we go through, I'll just go through some of these. This is just a list of some of the ones that we talk about. I won't go into each one of these, but we talk about public lewdness, sexual harassment, indecent exposure, indecency with a child, sexual assault, and age of consent. And we'll kind of explain why some of those things are important, why it's important for them to understand and know, and to be aware of what can, the legal ramifications of getting in trouble for some of these things. Like some of these are a felony. And then we also remind them that it is never okay to force sex on anyone, no matter what. And we go through a lot of different scenarios and say, no matter what, it's never okay to force sex on anyone, whether they're unaware or even if how they're acting or how long they've been dating, it's never okay. And then this is another point where we also talk about sexual abuse, like we do in all of our other programs. And we say this in all of our programs as well, that this is a sad statistic, but 1 out of 4 girls and 1 out of 6 boys are sexually abused before they even teen. And that this remind them this is something that they're not alone in this, and that it is once again it's their fault to talk to someone about it if they have experienced this. Another huge law that we talk about when it comes to sex in teenagers is child pornography. But we also talk about how sexting, one of the reasons why sexting is illegal for minors is because of child pornography, because it is considered child pornography. So that with that context in mind of child pornography and then sexting, it's easier for them to see the connection of why this is wrong and how they can get in trouble for it, and how they can be on a sex offender registration because of it, and they can even go to jail because of certain things that they might get involved in that the minors they might be exempt from, but they still are, they still can get in for. We explain what pornography is and how there's also a sexting. A lot of times people get in trouble for sex, but also get involved get in trouble for something called revenge porn, which is when a person sends initially intimate images from without consent and with the intent to harm. We talk about some real life stories of some people who have been on this sex offender registration and how that has impacted their lives and why it would make them feel and why you should care about this. The reason why we talk about not just child pornography but also pornography, there's a doctor who said, I have not found one case of violent sex crimes in over 10 years of practice as a psychotherapist that did not involve pornography. And so then at the end of this program, we really dive into, okay, we talked about a lot, but like, how do you protect yourself from some of these things? We don't really talk about pregnancy and STDs in this program, and so we just do a little overview real quick of like, okay, yes, someone can take have a birth control pill, but that's not going to protect them against STDs. Condoms are going to help prevent at least some STDs they can help prevent, but there's no protection under the law. And it kind of goes on, but the point of this is that waiting, if you're deciding to wait to have sex, this is going to protect you all the way from all of these things that we're talking about, which kind of gets into talking about, success and your freedom to succeed, because if you don't have any of these things to distract you, then it's going to be easier to reach your dream goals. Now, finally, the last program that I want to talk to you about is our program for our 5th grade. We actually support 4th and 5th grade, but I believe for your district, only for 5th grade, and that is our Next Up program. This is another one of my favorite programs. Now, this is very different from the ones that I just talked about, because this isn't necessarily, it's not like a sexual health program. This is really more like a puberty, and then kind of like a birds and the bees type of program, but thing that we do, because a lot of times with fifth graders, first of all, they're always separate. Boys and girls are always separate for this program, for the next step. And so when we talk to the kids, they're typically a little nervous. They kind of have some idea of what's going to happen. And I love being the person to come in there and just kind of put their mind at ease and be like, I'm going to try my best to make this not awkward or weird or anything. And it also helps having someone who they're not interacting with every day to have these conversations with, because they might feel a little weird to react or even ask questions. Then they're very kind of, even though we hope that these programs are really just a springboard for future conversation with those trusted adults in their life. Now, one of the reasons why I love this is how we kind of frame it, and the reason why is because we frame it with talking about who they are as a person and their identity, and like that they are valuable, that they are unique, and that they're somebody who is hopefully always learning and growing, and and that's okay. It's a good thing that you're growing. It's a good thing that your body is changing. Like, that's okay. And so we really want to make sure that that's where our center is, that they know that they are valuable and unique, and that the stuff that the things that might be happening, start happening to their body, that's not wrong, and it's not bad. They don't have to be scared of it, and that we want them to know that this is a part of life, and that they're valuable no matter what. We talk about dreams and goals, and we also have a little worksheet that they go through where they talk with, we'll go through definitions and everything, and I'll show you those in a second, and they'll write it down. So at fifth grade, it's easier for them to pay attention to when they're writing things down, and it's just a good way for them to remember some of these things. We do have a few games that we play throughout the program. We have a help or hurt game, so we're like, okay, with this, say, like when dropping out of school, would that help or hurt your future? It would hurt your future. Doing drugs and alcohol, is that going to help or hurt? It's going to hurt. What about trying your best in school? It's going to help. Volunteering, help, those types of things. Just kind of get them thinking about how the decisions that they make, even today in fifth grade, can impact their future. Now, we do talk about a lot of words, and this is kind of how I will explain that we are talking about sex. So I'll say these are some of the words we're talking about: puberty, reproduction, adolescence, relations, and sex. And most of them don't know what sex is, but they know the word and they want to run from it. And so, I try to, like I said, rest their, put their mind at ease. And just, I know that I believe that this is only being considered for fifth grade up, but we do have this available for fourth grade, but we don't talk about sex with fourth graders. We just talk about the puberty part. So you'll see slides throughout this program that say fifth grade only, and that just means not for the fourth grade program. The way that we go through this, we talk about where puberty begins. It begins in the brain. It happens at a different time for every person, and it's okay. It happens, if someone started to go through puberty at age 8, nothing's wrong with them. If they start going through puberty at age 14, nothing's wrong with them. It's different for every single person. We talk about some of the body changes that they may experience: height, even their hands and feet getting bigger. We have definitions for each one of these words. We talk about hormones, that there are going to be physical and emotional changes. And so physical changes, like there's making hair in different places. Your skin might start to have acne. You might start to have changes in your vision. We also want to talk about how they can be making healthy decisions so that their body is growing in a healthy way. They can make healthy decisions around nutrition, around exercise, being active, hygiene. We explain what hygiene is, which is very important, especially to the fifth grade boys. But we explain what that is, and then also talk about how rest is so important. But then the biggest thing that we are majority of our programs, and also the thing that a lot of the kids are most scared about, and honestly a lot of parents are most scared about, is that we talk about the differences in the male and female bodies. And so let me just kind of take you through how we explain these things and what we show them. I'm going to show you the exact pictures that we show the kids. We show them a diagram of the reproductive systems and how they work. They're very basic diagrams. They are important for the kids to understand, and then we label them and we talk about how they work. So the first thing, we talk about males, and these are the things that we label. We label the penis, urethra, vas deferens, testes, and scrotum. cells that join together and then multiply to form millions of other cells. We talk about where those cells come from here. We say, okay, this is a male has a sperm, and this sperm is going to travel out through the penis and a fluid, and that's how it gets out of the body to join with the female egg. This is the diagram that we use for females. The parts that we have that are labeled are vagina, uterus, fallopian tubes, and an ovary. We explain how periods work, and we explain how periods work to both boys and girls. And so we show how the ovaries will drop into the fallopian tubes, and how if a pregnancy happens, it'll probably happen there. But if not, then the egg will then travel down to the uterus and then exit out. And then to the girls specifically, because we do separate them, we'll talk a little bit more in detail about how to deal with the period and what that might look like, and try to calm their any sort of nerve or anxiety they might have around that. But then we also go back and talk about how a pregnancy happens. And so we explain how the male sperm has to reach the female egg in order that it joins the female reproductive system through the vagina. It joins with it fertilizes that egg, and then moves into the uterus, and then it grows until the baby is born. So some of the words that we explain, we give the English fertilize, menstruation, and ejaculation. We also talk about, with fifth graders, we talk about sex. What does that mean? When someone says the word sex, what does that mean? Well, it could be a few different things. That could be referring to someone's biological gender, they're male or female. It could refer to reproduction, which is what we talked about, and I explained that the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system are designed to be able to join together so that are we able to join together so that that the female egg is able to be fertilized. And so that the male sperm is able to be the female egg. And that process is called sexual intercourse or sex. We also talk about sex is not just about reproduction, it's also a special act of love. We also explain that sex is what sex is not. It's not a game. It's not something called making love, meaning it's not equal to love. It's not sex and love are not the same thing. It's not a way to hurt someone. This is where we talk a little bit about sexual abuse. We don't go into as much detail as we do in the other programs, but we explain that if someone is trying to that hurt them using sex, and that's not okay to talk to an trusted adult. And that sex is also not what you see on TV media. We also talk a little bit about healthy relationships, but ultimately, not just including relationships, but also friendships. That you want to have be surrounding yourself with people who respect you and show all these words as you on the screen. We encourage kids to not be the one who follows, that follows everyone, but to be a voice, not an expert, be a leader, not a follower. So that concludes our Next Step program. I think I'm like 1 minute over, but those are all of the 4 programs. If you have any questions, you can ask me or Sarah. Sarah's can handle like logistical questions. I can answer questions about the programs themselves. Thank you so much for letting me use up your time here, and I hope that you enjoyed some of this.
Thank you. I do have a question real quick. For the program that's the Next Up program, the one for the 4th and 5th graders, we're probably looking at 5th grade. Is there a way, can you for 5th grade do the not talk about sex part like you would for 4th grade? Because we're a rural community, and the values are not like in Dallas. I just say it. So is that an option?
It is an option, yes. Yeah, we're able to cater to that for sure.
We definitely have schools that have that, that would like to do the 4th grade version of the program instead of the 5th grade version, and we can definitely do that.
Okay. Is there a way to see the scripts beforehand, even for the high school ones? And if there's something that we're kind of questionable about, can we have a part like omitted?
I think I would have to talk to my director of operations, because I know she handles things like that. I know we don't, for copyright reasons, it's not the exact script, but we can show you like bullet points and main points, so that you can see it, and we'll give you like it's like on Venmo, and she gives you like a password, and you can see it for a certain amount of time, and and then we'll release it'll show you for a certain period of time, I think. She'll give you like a week or something to review it, to have access to it, but yes, we can do that.
So you could omit certain pieces after we review it and we're like, oh, we're not really comfortable with that section.
Yes and no, but Ramsey, you can.
Yeah, so it depends on how much you want to admit. So, so for example, if you're saying, hey, I don't want to talk about sex trafficking, that's fine. Like, we could totally omit that, like a section, like a one topic. But because like it would only be a couple things or like a whole like section of things that we would be able to omit. If there's like, a few sentences here and there that your committee doesn't like, then we wouldn't be able to cater that much. But there are certain things that you're like, okay, we don't want this and this, then I think we can probably accommodate to that. But it would definitely be, it is compliant with all of the Sarah can talk about that. It is compliant with all of the laws and bills and everything. And so it's something that we can work with y'all as much as we can, but then at the same time, we can't change the program fully. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I have one more question and then I'll let everybody else ask. So as far as consents, we would have to opt in with parents. Do y'all have like a standard letter form, something that we would send home kind of explaining those sorts of things?
We do have opt-in forms that our program of operations, she's created forms for our programs. So after we schedule the programs, we can send you the forms. You don't have to use them, but it's just if you want to use them and don't have anything formatted for your campuses, then you can definitely use the ones that we provide. Yes, we do offer.
Okay, with Senate Bill 12, wouldn't we have to opt in?
Yes.
This is an opt-in program, not like they
You
have to say yes.
We don't have a choice.
Okay.
But we would notify, so.
Okay. I'll shut up now. Y'all can ask.
Any other questions?
I guess I would just make a remark as a parent. I personally did not hear anything that was concerning to me. When the sex topic got brought up, my only concern would be, is this an organization that's going to say there's 87 digits? And it didn't sound like y'all were doing that. If it's scientific and just fact-based, with the exception of, I like what y'all said about the sex is not love. I feel like that message, it's the parent's responsibility 1,000,000%. However, kids need to hear this from people other than their parents, because they think their parents don't know anything. I mean, they just do, and they think that they're old school, and they think that they're just telling them, what they want to say. They need other outside influences telling them the same message. So if we were to do like an opt-in letter, I personally didn't hear anything that would need to be kept out. I mean, it's scientific, but if another parent was truly not comfortable, that's their right. They could just say, I would prefer my kid not be in here. But just for a little parent perspective, I did not hear anything that I thought would be inappropriate for my fourth grader to hear. But I try to get ahead of those things. Even the sex trafficking, he knows all about that. I don't want him to be a victim of it, so I want him to be aware of it,
Yeah, great.
So thank y'all for doing that. Those are hard conversations with this office. Thank you.
And just to be clear, we don't say anything about, we talk about male and female, we don't talk about LGBTQ, anything like that. We don't mention anything like that.
I have a 9th grader and a 6th grader who are on two totally different spectrums with this whole topic right now. So I guess my question for us and for you guys, how do you guys set this up? Because my 9th grader, if you do this in a classroom with 5 of his buddies, they're just going to be chuckling. They're not going to be paying attention. My 6th grader, if you do it in a classroom with him and his friends, they're all going to be hiding under the desk. How do you plan on, is this going to be like in health class? Is it going to be in the gym on a TV? what's the plan on getting, obviously, are you still splitting up high school females and males? Are you putting them
I don't
together?
know how y'all are going to logistically work it out, but I can just say, a couple of things. So, what we don't require, the only one that we require to be separated between boys and girls is the 4th and 5th grade program.
Okay.
The other ones, it's up to y'all. If you want to separate boys and girls, that's fine, that's an option. If you want to have them together, that's fine too. We have found that with boys and girls, with the giggling situation, a lot of times they're actually more behaved with both genders, because they are not, joking with their friends or whatever. But like I said, it's up to your district, it's up to your school. But our speakers, and me included, we are trained and professional. We've been doing this for years, and we do know how to handle those situations to get them to be engaged, to get them to where their head in their desk. Because I get it, that is the stereotype, but also like the reality of a lot of kids. But we are, we go into classrooms of all kinds and different gyms and auditoriums, and so we're prepared to know how to handle those situations to get them engaged.
Right, okay. Yeah, I agree with Madison as a mom. I think it's fantastic. I'm a nurse. I've tried to talk to my boys. They don't want to hear it coming from me. I have a GYN experience. They don't care. They don't want to hear anything I've got to say. So coming from someone else, maybe they'll listen.
What size group do you see as most effective?
So, we do have recommended audience sizes depending on the grade level. So for your 6th through 12th graders, so your 6th through 8th grade, ideally 75, but max is 200. And then for 9th through 12th grade, ideally is 100, but max is 350. So anywhere around that would be great. If you get closer to the max number, we do ask for you guys to have ample staff there so that the speakers aren't having to stop and start if there is little sidebar conversations or things like that. But yeah, those are ideal numbers.
Okay. Sam?
Well, for one thing, in my experience in seeing presentations being done or presented by the school, I think smaller groups are better.
Smaller.
Me personally, especially with Trinity and the presentation that she does in the cafeteria. I think that one's done in the classroom or classroom size presentations are more effective. But that could be just me. I don't know.
Yeah, when we're in the cafeteria, you can tell that everybody just goes and pairs up with their little cliques, and then they'll talk and everything. They won't really pay attention. I feel like, I agree.
But y'all think maybe grade level, or would you think maybe juniors and seniors together, freshmen and sophomore together, or just
Each grade.
So,
each grade?
Our school isn't very big, but for the bigger schools, it'd be just one class. But I feel like that would work.
I also want to add something that's scary, and y'all don't care, but at my church that I was a youth leader in, we had confirmed sexually active couple. The girl was in 5th grade and the boy was in 6th grade. That's in our area. These kids, they're making these choices younger and younger, so I'm so glad that y'all are in school, including the 4th graders. As young as that seems, my son, I look at it so innocent, doesn't talk about these things and put it on their radar. But if you don't, they're going to hear about it. You know what I mean? I'm glad they're included, but definitely that 4th and 5th grade, or however y'all break it down, that's such a different level than those older kids. So definitely, as long as there's a big difference in the curriculum there, but don't shy away from talking about sex necessarily, because some of those kids do still choose to do that.
They're gonna find out somehow. That's the truth of it. They're gonna find out from their
And a
friends.
lot of it they learn from
the
their
internet.
friends at school.
When I heard 5th grade, I was like, what world?
Any other questions?
Do y'all have any more questions for me? Okay, thank y'all ladies very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
be in touch.
Okay, I'll follow up with you. Thank you.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Casey, is there something in particular in the 4th and 5th that you were asking a question about not wanting to introduce or show? Was there?
I didn't know about separating. I wanted to make sure that they were separating the males and females. And I guess one thing I didn't ask was it a male that was going to present to the little boys? Because I feel like some of the things that it talks about, that needs to be a guy. I'm sorry, Madison, what'd you say?
The boys, a male doing it for the boys is a great idea.
Yeah.
For that age, especially.
Yeah,
And also, I'm not so sure about the boys and the periods. Like, I mean, I guess they should know about it, but I don't know. This is like a lot of heavy content for them. I just don't know, but it might be beneficial to split the boys and girls.
yeah.
Boys did, I remember even back in the day when I was in elementary, they split us up. Boys went one way, girls
Went another.
They talked about whatever they talked about. We just talked about periods. That was it. That's all the education that we got. So.
I mean, just honestly, it's just, I don't know. It concerns me talking to 5th graders about sex, but if they're already talking about it and doing it, that's just, I guess, me personally. I worry about putting ideas in heads. That's my. I'm just being honest.
I don't think to be honest, they're going to be talking about it. I don't think that it's an idea that they are going to put in their heads. Like, they've never thought of it. They're a little, our community is so much better about, like, the PD, for example, is the one that has the 5th and 6th grade students. And there was also a pregnant girl at Red Lake in 7th grade. Like, the younger you can get the message to them that it's not something to play around with, the better. In my personal opinion, but I have that fear from knowing those first-hand experiences, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess.
Like, and that's in our church, y'all. I mean, it's not like kids that are not being raised right. Okay, we know, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but still.
It's completely
Kids that go
natural.
to church.
I mean, I will share, and please I ask that you don't take offense or share this information anywhere else. My son that's in the 6th grade, I took his phone away 2 years ago because I caught him on pornography sites on his cell phone and on his Xbox. So for a long time, I had to remove electronics. It's early. I mean, I can remember even as a child, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we were giggling and talking about things back then. And you're talking about, I'm 43, so early 90s.
I mean, we had that here. We had 4th graders looking at pornography on their cell phones. So it's not, mod is not,
Mod's not any different than anywhere else. It's just smaller.
it's smaller.
And it's no reflection of a parent's upbringing. It's natural.
It's just,
Exactly.
well,
Curiosity.
you're inundated from, it's all over the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
And
so,
TV.
there's in my opinion, there's a conscious design to get to our kids.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
best
And so the
way-
more we can be proactive
Yeah.
and
Yes.
teach them truth and facts, the better off they'll be.
Correct me if I'm
I
wrong,
agree.
teenagers, I don't want to call y'all kids, but the best way to push your child into doing something is to push them verbally away from it and stay on top, to tell you not to do it. You're not going to do this, not going to do that. That's not for you. It's going to push you further into that. So I think cold hard
It
facts.
could if you're stubborn.
Yeah. Well, mine are different.
what are y'all's thoughts?
Whenever I first heard it and it said something about telling 4th and 5th graders about sex, I was like, whoa. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, I heard about that kind of stuff. My friends were talking about that, and I went to Atlanta, and I still remember the first person that started talking about sex. It was one of my friends, and coming from an adult who's telling you facts and stuff would have been a lot better, me finding out that way, than my friend had told me, because he was very nasty and disgusting and had sex before he was even in high school. So I feel like it would have been a lot better for me to learn it like the right way than like from somebody who should not be informing me on that. So
I think it's like the presentation isn't putting the idea of them or two students having sex. It's just like letting them know that you shouldn't have sex. Like I feel like it would put the idea in their heads like this is a bad thing. I mean, it's good, but it's bad at the same time. Not saying like it wouldn't influence them to do it. Like because we're talking
I
about.
mean, that's like saying, telling them not to cheat on their work and telling them to cheat. You know, we can't do that. We gotta tell them the truth, whether we think we're putting it in their head or not. But I don't think we are.
You gotta also look at this sexual abuse part too. If you don't give them some context on sex in their own level, there could be children in our school that are being sexually abused and don't understand that they're being sexually abused that could come forward based on the information that they're given because they don't understand what's going on. So that's an issue too.
Well, I was gonna say, one of the things I think too is, unfortunately, our society is so far from where we were years ago that a lot of our kids don't see types of sex as sex. And they're like, I've had conversations with girls before they were talking about oral sex. And I said, well, that's not sex. I said, anything like that is sex. And so there's a disconnect between fact and what pop culture, I guess is the word I want to say.
Well, I just keep wanting to go back to, again, if a parent is really, really concerned about it, they have the option to opt out. And they have to say yes, that they can see this presentation. And so I just go back to that because as much as we can patrol it, the parent ultimately says yes or no. And if we open the program up, we send those out, and we just see there's a large majority of parents that are saying no, then maybe we could reevaluate. But ultimately, if they're really uncomfortable, they really don't want their kid talk to about that stuff, they can say no. They still have that right. So
to piggyback on that, like, how would the parents know specifically the topics that would be discussed?
we could give
So
them
There's a preview.
There's a letter that we would send out, obviously, for them to option, and then they will come the night before and give the parents a preview of what the kids are gonna see the next
You
day.
actually see the program as a parent the day before.
I just want to make sure the parents have the ability to have it educated.
Well, I mean, even this sheet right here is very informative of what exactly they're going to talk about.
Yeah, because when she was going through it, she basically said everything on
everything on the sheet.
If they could have like one of these sheets that they send out and that just view them.
Yeah, I mean,
Would that
you
be a
wouldn't even
part
have
of the
to
preview at
host
least?
it. Like, just send them one of those sheets and just be like, here's what's gonna happen, opt in or opt out,
I would still do it because I mean there may be parents that need the same education that the kids are getting.
Or to know what verbiage they're using so that they too can
Yeah.
be educated enough to have that conversation afterwards.
But the parent nights are done very well, and they are mirror images of the day program.
That's perfect.
My only concern with the parent nights is we struggle having parents
But
show
you never,
up.
well, I'll say, everywhere I've been that they've done something like this, parent night has been extremely small.
That's
Not
what I was
saying it wouldn't
saying, just to
not
send
saying it
out one
wouldn't
of
be different,
these.
but
Yeah.
Just like,
typically.
because if you don't come, you still get the information that the people that came are getting.
I
And
would
you,
say wait till after the holidays, give them ample time to, I wouldn't try to do it in the middle of December with everything else going on. And,
No.
And don't let anything in the middle of December.
wait till,
What is the program that like we've sat through our whole from freshman year up to seniors, like with Trinity? Like what is that with? Like is it not one of the YES programs?
No.
It's
It's
just
different.
dating violence, right?
Because like we talked about like sexual activity in that
kind
one
of the
too.
same kind of stuff. Not
Like,
exactly.
we
the
talked
same,
about like
but
grooming and like the all of that.
She kind of. I remember she did talk about like some of the laws and stuff like that. How like child pornography and stuff like that is like you could get like arrested for
Like with the
that.
sexting kind of
Yeah.
stuff, the sending pictures.
Like even if you had like consensual pictures, like whenever you were in your teen years and then you graduated and then you still had them on your phone, like you could get arrested for that.
Yeah.
so more of the legality of it, along with the abusing. I think that was the main topics of treatment.
Yeah, it was like online safety, but she still talked about like sex trafficking and sex and all of that and like what could happen. So, I mean, I was just wondering what that was a part of.
that's just a
That's
different
just
program.
The Child Advocacy Center. So pretty much trying to hit on some of these topics that need to be covered
Mhm.
for those age groups.
So would we get rid of that one if we got this one? Or just keep it
Not
on?
necessarily, because again, I think information is power, and
Right.
and hearing it from multiple.
And then
Trudy, I think is more domestic violence, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you still need it for those, high school relationships especially?
Oh,
To know
yeah.
like what's toxic, and I think now this is just like, very, like foundational education. And even like the physical stuff, you know, like the how our babies made, like that age, is a good age to learn about that. And let's please do it after the holidays, because I don't want to be talking about sex all during the break.
We're gonna do it the day before they come home for Christmas.
Well, I think as a group, does it sound like there's some consensus for Nurse Nisi to work with the principals on getting a platform together to present the next one for recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like this would be a good program to have, and would the seniors have it? Like, because
It'd be
we
inspiring.
didn't watch the newest one
For the-
that the domestic violence was.
For the
It's
6th through 12th one, is that like, are we just choosing one program, or is it designed
Yeah.
for like the 6th graders? Like if we started it like this year, next year, like the 6th graders, are they gonna see all 3 of the different programs, or are we just choosing one
Did
for
you
them to
say
see?
it's cycle?
I think it's cycles, like we would pick
Cycles.
one this year, and then next year would be a different one, then the year after that would be a different one, so that they get something different every year, and it's not the same.
So if we
thing.
did do this, we would have to like collectively like have another meeting and pick which one we would do, or would that just be y'all?
That,
A lot of
I don't
times
know.
you start with their first. They
The
actually have
aim
a
for success.
Yeah, you actually have a progression, from that builds on each one of them. So typically, what you're after, and again, the whole point is not. I mean, obviously, sex ed is a part of it, but the bigger part is about smart life decisions and setting yourself up to be successful in life. And so that's the real piece that we're trying to push there. And
So unfortunately, seniors will probably just see the first program.
yeah, they probably,
Yeah.
y'all went through the first one.
I was just wondering because like if the seniors were actually going to be in it, because like we didn't watch the domestic violence one this year, but we watched it like freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
Yeah, if your parents opt in, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
If,
It's for everybody.
I mean, that's something that, we'll have to get with the principals to see kind of what we would present for everybody to vote, and I'll get with y'all, you and Kayla.
How are you gonna set the opt-in option?
Those
Like,
papers that you send out, you send out a form. Yeah.
Via,
The
like,
form
mail?
she was talking about, we would send those home when we decide yes or no. We would send those home, and the parents it's not an opt-out, it's an
Yeah.
opt-in.
Opt-in,
They
so-
have to give permission. So if, say for instance, your parent did not get a permission slip back, you could not attend the program.
Yeah, but is that only through the student that the parents get the form?
Oh, I'm sure we could
We
send
do
it
it
out through
online too.
media.
I mean, we
Like
we
a
give them to the
Google form or
kids, and we also
something?
put it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, okay.
two versions of it.
Because I know I'll go home and I'll straight up forget to give my mom papers. And then the teacher will come back and they're like, so did y'all get y'all's papers signed? Absolutely.
Oh, I know, it took 3 weeks to get
Oh,
those Senate Bill 12 papers back. That was
Yeah.
a long 3 weeks.
And Coach Turner was literally, he was like, y'all can run in athletics if y'all don't get the papers back.
Not for me. I just gotta walk over to the Coach Bush's classroom.
But I think we did have to have you walk over to Coach
Yeah, that was my concern.
Okay, is there any other discussions about anything else?
Did you have something you wanted to share?
Every one of these, it says 1 hour program, 1 hour program. So they're coming and speaking for 1 hour and that's it?
All day,
That's all day though.
each presentation would be
But they won't be back after they do their one presentation to the 6th grade, they're through?
no, it would be like this hour 6th grade, this hour 7th and 8th, this hour 9th and 10th, this hour 11th
But
and
they're through
12th.
with 6th grade?
Yes, it's just a 1
It's a
hour.
1 hour thing?
Yes,
6th
yeah.
grade, 1 day,
And that's it, yeah,
so where's the follow-up?
next year.
Whole year?
The next, are you talking about like the next program?
Yeah.
That it's like year after
It's,
year?
yeah, it's not an ongoing program, it's just.
It's an
once a
annual
year.
thing usually, so.
Are you thinking kind of like the DARE, like they did that for like every week for a while?
I'm just thinking 365 days is a long time before you start answering questions these kids had after 1 hour.
Yeah, I would say really hone in on giving them the resources like the nurses who to go and talk to parents, like really try to push them to talk to Nurse Kara and to Nurse Nisi or the coach that they're comfortable with or whatever. If they have questions from the presentation, going to your friends is not your best option. Speak to your parents, speak to your pastor, speak to your school nurse.
And
Like really try to.
Your parents are the one that's pushed back as the person of
Yeah.
of speaking.
That's what I was about to say. Like, this is good for, like, first of all, the kids that don't have parents that would talk to them about this, or the best parents at home, or just to give everybody a good overview and talk about that. But like ultimately, this is like the parent's job. Like, it's good to have something like this at the school, but if your parent isn't telling you about this stuff, then that's kind of you're dealt a bad hand, and this is really the parent's job. So.
But it does give parents a nice aid for a talking point, you know.
It does. It does.
So Miss Ann, what would you think the solution would be?
Like have two every year, or
I think if we know this is coming in, I think us as a team, as educators, need to be aware that
So
there
your
may be
teachers are
talk.
gonna go through some training ahead of time also. So the parents are gonna have the opportunity the night before.
Well, I mean, they're gonna watch the same program, I would think, as the kids would. They'll sit with their kids, and so, I mean, like she's trained, you know, we're trained to discuss those things. And if the teachers are aware that that's gonna be a topic of conversation, they will not be surprised when questions are asked, and they can fill those as they need. Probably not in whole discussion, but, you know.
We're going to send those to the counselor.
Thanks. No, I mean, but seriously, I think that, you know, with anything, kids are going to come back and ask questions to the people that they trust. And a lot of times that's their teachers, their coaches, their nurses, their counselors. Like, it's going to be the people that are already there. So as long as our staff knows, hey, don't just shut down any conversation. And if you don't feel comfortable, just refer them to their parents.
Are you, what's going through your mind? What are you thinking?
I'm picturing 8th grade boys. I don't know.
Are you thinking that it would cause them to venture outside of sources to get information? Like, hey, we heard this, and then they start talking about it amongst themselves instead of going to an adult?
Yeah.
Start Googling it.
Yeah.
It's probably somewhat gonna happen. I mean, it's.
But they're gonna do it, yeah,
concern.
but they're gonna do internet searches anyway,
They're
probably.
going to, yeah.
I mean that's probably one of the reasons why we have the like thing that blocks everything. Like if they were to do it at school, that's why it blocks
They
it.
do it at school, but I don't know.
I think the kind of wrap it up. There's still a lot of maybe a couple questions here and there, but you know, let's let Nurse DC work with the principals to come back with a recommended program for the next time, and then we can look at trying to get that scheduled out in the future. I do know we have to look at these as far as scheduling because they do tend to book relatively fast, and the spring is a fast time of the year.
I just
So
think your teachers are gonna need some training.
And that can be something that I can reach out to them. Like, what do we do to train our staff, you know, as far as like the questions coming up and where to refer and.
And like I said, also as a teacher, you know, that's not really something that I want to speak. I mean, the teacher can say, it's not really something that I want to talk about. Let me refer you to the nurse, let me send you to the counselor. You know, I don't even mind calling your parent and telling them that you had this question so that y'all can talk about it at home. I mean, they don't have to answer, I guess, if they don't want to, but I just feel like.
Leaving the wide open. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Okay, we need to schedule the next meeting. I don't have the school calendar up. I think it needs to
Go to
be.
my MISD resources, I think it might be under that, I'm not sure.
Right here. Oh,
Did you kill it?
I did. Oh
Should still be
no.
up there.
No, I just closed off of it. Hold on, I'm trying to get y'all back.
Mr. Rochelle? Mr. Rochelle, Melissa Holly, we need some assistance over in the admin at the front porch. The children is jumping around and acting strange.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. I accidentally signed off and I did not mean to. So we're trying to schedule the next meeting. Let me go to the mod calendar.
Are we wanting to have one before Christmas?
No, I don't think December is gonna, it's gonna have to look at January. Oh, do you? Okay. Oh, well, I was trying to see about like school board meetings, their, this calendar. Thank you.
It's not on there yet. School board meetings are on there, that's about all.
Yeah.
Are you like trying to see like if there's anything planned for the meeting? Or like if there's a day like that?
Yeah.
Is it just one for every month? Or is there two? Okay.
SHAC meetings for a year.
These should be back to back, because trying to get this program.
And because that lady could meet with us in so.
Okay, are y'all okay with January the 14th? That's a Wednesday, or would you prefer to go the 21st? Worried about it being right back, coming back. Honestly, I'm worried about it coming back from school, and it's always crazy sick time coming right when we first come back.
COVID week.
Yes. So let's go January 21st, which is a Wednesday, I believe.
And that's like, that schedules the school one, so there's like not a softball game or anything?
Not on the Wednesday, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At 12:30. Yeah. Okay, so our next meeting will be January 21st at 12:30. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I said that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.